If you're watching this, you must be wondering who the heck is Alan Moore and why is he an innovative thinker? And if you're not thinking that, well, too bad, because I'm gonna tell you anyway. So Moore was born on November 18, 1953 in the quaint township of Northampton, residing in the tea-sipping country of England. Moore would come up with the penchant of storytelling and knitting together grueling tales of odd fantasies. He'd carry his love for his craft over to his 20s. This is where he realized he can make some cash off his talents. Around the 1970s, he'd write short stories for magazines such as 2000 AD and Warrior, Britain-based comic-oriented magazines that would release a collection of stories each issue. Warrior would stand out, however, for being the magazine to first introduce one of Moore's most recognizable works, V for Vendetta. At this point, it was clear Mr. Moore had a knack for comics and he would run with it, if not for a little bit. Soon his work would find its way to North America, getting picked up in the God-loving country of the US of A. At the rate Moore was going, he was catching the attention of the big fish. The gaze of the comic titans would begin to turn in his direction. He was quickly contacted by DC Comics, snatched up to churn out stories on their dime. He'd be a compelling force of the DC's creative flow for quite a while. He wrote stories such as Batman, The Killing Joke, the first adaptation of the Joker, a renowned DC villain, that would revise him as a tragic character-driven demania due to uncontrollable circumstances. It was a story to establish the one bad day mindset, penning the character as a multifaceted villain rather than just a psychotic slapstick goofball who didn't care for the bigger picture. Now he is a psychotic slapstick goofball with perspective, and that caught people's attention. He now had a reason for his antics, and that shook avid comic readers at their core. Of course, Moore would also pen original works, one such little thing being The Watchmen. So why did this series garner such a cult following? A series of comics that would later be released in a singular volume thicker than most dictionaries and chock full of dialogue. It was character driven. The pages of this limited run would break down the foundation of what made a typical superhero. At the time of its release, it was the first of its kind to truly deconstruct the thinking that goes on behind the scenes of these types of characters. There are hardships, there are dilemmas, there are questionable moral ambiguity that supposedly decides what's right and wrong. Watchmen would question what made things good and evil and whether or not these traits were static. The Watchmen's plot pacing, character narratives, decisive story elements, and shocking climaxes snowballed to earn critical acclaim, both on and off the comic scene. It was a commercial success, and that meant milking it for all it's worth. Much to Moore's objections, as he didn't care for the mass industrialization of his work, yet recognized that this was the true nature of the Hollywood beast. It's debatable if he'd ever reached the same hard-hitting success as he achieved from The Watchmen. He still writes, crafting and creating as one would expect. He still has a drive to be a storyteller. Whether he waxes or wanes in popularity, it doesn't seem to be a major concern for him. As long as he can get to do what he does best, he doesn't seem to mind one bit. An unconventional, innovative thinker, Alan Moore isn't the type of character you suspect to be covered. He's not a renowned scientist, a famous inventor, or a groundbreaking doctor. He's a comic writer. Yet this humble author managed to mold a legacy that has inspired up-and-coming creatives to pursue a type of storytelling within a medium, one that was deemed as a child's outlet. He somehow crafted compelling stories, indifferent to any biases towards him, going down as a comic legend who knew how to sling a good story.